By the way, what about everyone losing their minds on Saturday when Conor comes out all of a sudden with his pound for pound rankings and everyone just loses their mind, right? Everyone weighs in on this.
Yeah, but that's him though. Conor's such a big deal, right? Everybody pays attention. Like, it's like these people don't have the ability to just like ignore it. Like, everybody wants to say something.
So everyone wants to say something. I didn't really gauge, but I have to be honest, I get offended about one thing. And this is not because we're doing the show. Your name does not come up
Ever.
enough in the pound for pound discussion.
Ever. It's
And I'm not talking about the current. I'm talking about the all time.
Yeah, it's so odd. I don't know. I don't know what it is that makes people not respect what you've done, but maybe you're one of those guys that is going to the legacy you leave will be respected and held in more high regard when you're gone. Because the reality is, I did this thing all the way right. I did it all the way right. You know, I never tested positive for anything. I never, if you want to say I cheat, the only thing that they can ever say I cheated was the thing in Buffalo with the towel thing. That's it. That's it. Like this, if that's the biggest thing you have to hold against me, then
are you owning up to something?
No,
Is this
I'm
your
not owning up to
moment
anything.
right
I'm just
now?
saying, no, I'm saying like everybody's like, oh, you held the towel. I didn't hold the towel. But if you want to say I held the towel, then listen, okay.
Well, I think there's actual footage of you touching the towel.
Listen, I didn't touch the towel, but like, if you want to let your eyes trick you, let your eyes trick you. Let it trick you. But I'm saying, like, it was all an illusion. But if that's the biggest thing, even if I did, say by chance that I touched that towel very slightly, right? That's the biggest thing you got to hold against me when you've got people that you're putting at the top of these lists with 2, 3, 4, 5 failed steroid tests, and you're holding these things in the same type of level. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's so crazy. But when I see DJ and
give me your top 5. Give me your top 5 right now.
I see DJ and I see George up there and Conor and these guys. There's nothing bad tied to their names at all. And
so what's your top 5? Give me your top 5.
First off, I've made this very clear. Fail steroid tests or anything, you're out.
You're out.
That's if you're out. You feel any steroid test, you're out, right? No? I mean, Barry Bonds is out.
Yeah,
not in the Hall of Fame. I mean, Mark McGuire's not in the Hall of Fame. Dude's at 75 home runs in one season. Roger Clemens.
Yeah.
Steroid test, you're out. That's the way a lot of sports have done it. But I say in no particular order, Demetrius Johnson, George St. Pierre, Habib Nurmagomedov, who goes to 28-0. Myself's in there. And honestly, man, you know, when you start doing that, I think you got to,
How are you forgetting the greatest of all time?
I said George St. Pierre.
Did you forget George? Oh, did you say George?
I said George.
My bad.
Right away. But no, I think, honestly, man, you start weighing accomplishments, and you got to start thinking in time, you know, when you start going 5, 6, Conor McGregor's in there. Dude won 2 titles. I know he didn't defend anything, but he won 2 championships.
Okay, so the 5 that you came up with were Habib, Conor, George.
Habib, George, DJ, myself.
And Demetrius.
Probably McGregor. Or he won 2 belts, you know. Oh, Henry
Cejudo.
Number 1? Henry Cejudo's in there too. So like 5, 6, Henry Cejudo won 2 belts. Like,
who's number 1 in your mind?
The greatest fighter of all time? I think George St. Pierre. Honestly, if I got to be honest, I think George St. Pierre. I think when George St. Pierre won that fight against Michael Bisping at 185 and became a champion in 2 weights with all he had done before, I think it's George. And
walked away as 170 champ, walked away at 185.
There's no slight on
2 losses.
I'm not trying to slight Anderson. I'm not trying to slight Jones. Like, the talent it's very visible. But you start failing tests, man. You can't fail tests. You just can't fail tests. So when these people are doing, and they're saying all that, and my name's never mentioned, it's so crazy.
Well, so then can I say something to you? If we're going to go with those guidelines, and I have no problem with them, honestly, if we're going to go with you have to be 100% clean, no infractions on your resume, no PED failures, any of that, it's George St. Pierre, and then it's you. I'm sorry. Like, I love DJ, but let's look at the strength of schedule here. Let's look at the fact that you went up to heavyweight when he went up to 135 and fought Dominic.
He got beat. Yeah, I know.
It blows my mind that you don't get mentioned in this discussion.
It's just the way people are, man. Like, people they want to take.
Does it bother you?
Not necessarily.
A little bit.
It just kind of like, I just don't understand why the body of work isn't as respected as some of the other people. You know, but it is what it is. You know, I've never I've never had like Stipe beat me, right? With no questions. Stipe was clean. He's a good man. He's a good fighter. And man, that dude dug deep. I beat him up so much. I hit him so many times. He was in phenomenal shape. He got the job done. I have no qualms about it. But like some of the other things, like there's steroid tests and everything else involved. Like that's not and dude might have still won the fight. Jones might have still beat me. But when you get those things in there, it kind of sucks, man. It just sucks. So I think but again, like I said, a lot of fans are kind of like, they're not that smart, so they just see things for what they want to see. Like
from the fighters too. I feel like the fighters should give you more respect, to be honest.
I think a lot.
And it's not just Conor's list. I notice it from all the fighters. They don't mention you enough. You went up there. You were undefeated as a heavyweight. You had fights. It wasn't. I think people forget that before the Stipe fight, International Fight Week, that you had a few fights in the UFC, let alone Strikeforce as a heavyweight. Yeah. Frank Mir, Roy Nelson. Those guys were top contenders.
They were both in the top 5 when I fought them. Yeah. Right. So my title shot was legitimate, I felt. But hey, look, man, you can't change the way people see things. But I think if people look at everything, all things considered, it'll be fine. I mean, I'm a guy that's main evented 8 UFCs. I've sold over 4 million pay-per-views. I saw something somewhere, like it's I've done some good things in this sport. And I think as time goes, people will respect that more, especially if I win this belt from Miocic and I become a 2-time light heavyweight champion and a 2-time heavyweight champion, then you can't question anything.
Amen.
I'm comfortable in where I stand, though.
You should be.
And honestly, in where the organization sees me in the grand scheme of things, because that's what matters. And I have a ton of fans that are so supportive and they're so loving and they care. And as much as I get the people that don't respect the things I've done, it's 5 times the size of people that support me and believe that I am one of the best fighters of all time.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.